Hi, welcome to the Real Slim Katie channel. I'm Katie, and this is a vlog that I record for YouTube on mental health, physical health, and overall wellness, including addiction issues. If you're not familiar with me or my vlog in the past, I have done several episodes on my case history, which covers the last 20 years with over 30 diagnoses and over 50 prescriptions I've received. I've dealt with opioid addiction, alcoholism, sex addiction, and I guess what I would call morbid obesity. I was almost 400 pounds. So I have recovered from those ailments. And I feel like, over the last 20 years with the experiences I've had, I have gained a lot of perspective and knowledge on what to do and what not to do during a crisis. And I definitely would consider the COVID-19 pandemic a major crisis for nearly everybody I've ever met. And I feel like there are some, little grains of truth that I've learned that might be helpful to some people during chaotic times like now. When I was in drug and alcohol treatment, I remember someone in my class once saying, being healthy doesn't always feel good. And that phrase really stuck with me because I believe it to be 100% accurate. Being healthy doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it doesn't feel good to feel your feelings or to realize that in order to make the right choice for you in the long run, you need to not, drink a half a gallon of vodka today. These kind of realizations I understand don't come overnight, and they didn't for me either. I was no different. It took me years to come to the realization that almost nothing has an easy fix, and that less, in fact, is more. Looking back on it, it's plain to see that it's no wonder I had so many mental health diagnoses. I wasn't giving myself half the chances that I could have. I didn't give myself a chance to feel good. I didn't give myself a chance to feel well. I just kept adding. I added more food. I added more alcohol. I added more pills. I added more TV. I added, more of everything. And sometimes the right answer is to take away and be still and not slide backwards, especially not into harmful, destructive, self-harming habits, which are all things I did. Facing those feelings I had inside, the uncertainty, the fear, the anger. Why are these things happening? Why is this happening to me? Why is there a pandemic? Why have I lost my job? Why can I not see my family? This is not fair. These feelings are all legitimate. These are not things I'm saying that I'm not saying no one has a right to feel these things. I completely understand. I empathize with them. I have felt these things myself while being in crisis. But I want you to know that I've seen people sliding into bad habits, and these will not be helpful. Because at some point, the pandemic will be over. At some point, things will adjust back to a more normal state. We may never be back where we were, but things will be more normal. Stores will be open. Things will be happening. People will have jobs again. There is a way to come out of the pandemic. If not better, at least not worse than you were when you went in. Because I have lived in chronic crisis for years in my life, and the way out is never to use more drugs and alcohol and food or self-harming behaviors. None of those things will ever, ever help you get to anywhere you want to be in your life, regardless of what your goals are. Maybe your goal is simple. Maybe your goal is you want to put in a new garden, or You want to start an exercise program. Maybe you have very large goals, lofty goals. You want, you want to get some high level degree, or you want to start learning some new trade. These are things that can't happen if you're preoccupied with substance abuse, self-harming behaviors, and just distracted by negative feelings. So something that's taken me a long time to understand is that I have a lot more power over my life than I thought I did. Even while in crisis, I used to think I had no power. Things were just happening to me. And the truth is, things don't really happen to people. They do to a point. But how you react is where your power lies. So bad things do happen to people, but their reaction is paramount to how they come out on the other side. These are things and lessons I wish I had known years ago, but I had to go through hell, literally. I feel like I went through hell to get to where I am today, so that I can tell you guys that how you react literally is like 90% of the problem, or 90% of the solution. Depends on how you react. It took me 20 years to figure that out. And so the idea that you build your own coping mechanisms is not an easy thing to internalize. It takes a while, it's difficult, but it is worth it. Because then you are not controlled by substances or fleeting feelings you have. I understand now that I do get angry. I still have issues with anger. I still get angry and I wanna like push over a chair or throw something against the wall, or just run for like a mile, just run straight, just like yelling. Like I just, and that comes from, all those times when I was angry before, I would just use something. And so when you stop using, I'm not sure how many of you have ever dealt with drugs and alcohol addiction, but when you start using drugs and alcohol, they kind of take the place of like your brain processing emotions. You don't have that. You don't have that privilege anymore, or that gift really to process your emotions anymore. Like I guess someone that isn't constantly addicted to something would. I lived in fear a lot. I was afraid. I was angry. I didn't feel like things were fair. I was a consummate victim, and I was always afraid of what was going to happen to me. What was going to happen to me and my kids? What was going to happen to us? And I've learned over the past several years that isn't even the right question to be asking. I feel like when I'm asking myself what's going to happen to me, I'm already setting myself up as coming from a victim standpoint. So if I'm already established that I'm a victim, then I can't be helped. Then things are just going to happen to me. That's exactly right. But it's very important to make the distinction between what's going to happen to me and what do I have control over. Because then I change from having no power over anything in my life to suddenly I have influence. I might not control everything, but I'm not going to sit by and watch life happen. And the day I realize that things don't just happen to people unless they let them. If you look over your life, like I looked over mine, there's a series of either missteps, mistakes, choices I've made that brought me to where I was at every crisis in my life. It may have taken a while to get there, but they were things that I did that contributed to it. So you can flip that script and you can make positive choices in your own life. And what I mean by positive choices, I mean get involved with something outside of yourself. Anything to get your mind off of the anger and the sadness and the sorrow and the despair and the uncertainty that you're feeling. Anything aside from something that's going to be self-harming. Maybe you start a garden. Maybe you don't have room for a garden, so you buy some pots and you grow some herbs. You grow some plants, you grow some flowers, maybe you grow some tomatoes. Maybe you learn to crochet or knit, or you get involved in some sort of online movie discussion forum. I mean, anything, anything where you can get yourself out of your own head, and you feel like what you're doing is either contributing to something, or it's keeping you from further damaging yourself. That's a key component, is that you're not doing harm to yourself. Because I used to think, well, I'm taking these drugs, I'm drinking this alcohol, it all makes me feel great. But that wasn't true. It made me not feel. It made me feel nothing for a short period of time, and then after the alcohol or the drugs or the endorphins from the food wore off, suddenly I'm back where I was with all my problems, except now they're worse because I've ignored them for longer. And now I feel bad about myself because I've used drugs again, or I've drank a lot of alcohol again, or I've eaten half of a chocolate cake again, or I've yelled at someone I loved because I was angry and I couldn't handle my feelings, because I have no more coping mechanisms, because I've just turned to substances for everything. What I'm saying is, there is a way through the shit. There is a way to the other side where you're not constantly id-gaffing your life, where you're not waking up every morning just trying to make it through the day. There's a way that you can get to a point where you feel like you're actually thriving. And it's harder, especially harder during a pandemic, to feel these things. But I want you to know I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm going to be putting out more vlogs. I'm going to be talking about mental health issues, physical health issues, how they all interact with each other. My experiences over all the crisis and the trauma I've experienced in my life. And I want to do my part, whatever I can, to help whoever I can understand that you have a lot more power over what's happening in your life than you think you do. You have the power to change the way you think, which is the power to change the way you perceive the world, which is the power to change your reality. And that is huge, huge. And I want you to realize that. My next episode is probably going to be some sort of check-in like this one. I would think it would be great if people could comment or somehow send me a message with suggestions maybe for the next episode. If not, I'm sure I'll come up with something. But I would like to hear from people on what they think. Any opinions, things I could talk about, maybe questions you have about what I have or have not been through. I want to give back, and I want people to understand they're not alone. You are not alone. I've been in crisis. I've been through these things. I've never been through a pandemic before. I'll tell you that. This is all new. But I've been through crisis for 2 decades. And there is hope. You can come out the other end. You will survive. And I just want you to know I'm here. So thank you for tuning in. I will hopefully have another episode out in another week or so. And I hope you have an inspired day. Thank you.